Conservative new media viewers and Jeremy Lin fans around the world, what's going on? We are here to analyze and recap Houston's 103-96 loss to the Toronto Raptors today, Sunday, December 16th. Now, this was an early game. Not sure if everybody was aware this game was going on. This is 1 o'clock Eastern time in the U.S., and it was 1 a.m. approximately in Taiwan. Early on Monday, the 17th of December. With the loss, Houston drops to 11-12 on the year. Toronto improves to 6-19. This was a very tough loss and a bad loss for Houston. I think they were actually favored in this game. And this is the kind of loss that if you don't make the playoffs, you look back on and say, oh, man, I can't believe we lost this game. But Jose Calderon basically got turned into Rajon Rondo in this game, got a triple-double. He outplayed Jeremy and Tony Douglas, and Toronto was playing without Bargnani and Kyle Lowry, and they still won. Now, Houston was without Patrick Patterson, but still, this was a bad loss. They lost because they got beat at their own game. They got beat on the fast break. That's Houston. That's what they want to do, and they got beat at it. The big men for Houston didn't get it done on either end. Toronto had 13 blocked shots, and Houston had 1. They didn't get it done on defense or on offense. Calderon, again, schooled Jeremy and Tony Douglas. Toronto's bench totally outplayed and outscored Houston's 49-23. Toronto was just ready for this game, and Houston wasn't. Sometimes you get that when it's an early game like this. You'll get one team, the road team, or a team that's been on the road for a while, they're just not ready to play. And that's kind of what seemed like happened to Houston today. Oh, one other quick thing before I get into Jeremy's stuff. If you watch this game on TSN, the Canada feed, and you see those signs at the end of the end lines, the Raptors signs that look like they're standing up, that's just an optical illusion. It looks like the players are going to run into them. They look like they're actual signs, but they're not real. It's the paint, and somehow they get it to do that. So I always used to wonder about that. I'm like, well, what is that? But those are fake. All right. Now, here's the quick Jeremy Lin snapshot for viewer John Jin Chen. John, you say these videos are getting longer, and they are getting longer, but I'm going to give you a quick run-through on what Jeremy did, just so if you have to watch something else or do something else, you don't have to watch the whole video. Jeremy had 7 points, 1 rebound, 2 assists. He had 3 turnovers, 3 steals, and his plus-minus was -7. In 33 minutes of action. Plus minus is what the team is when you're on the floor. So if the team outscores the other team by 6 points while you're playing, you're a +6. Jeremy was a -7 in this game. Jeremy started poorly in this game. He didn't play well in the first quarter. Again, that's something that he has to keep working on, and it's been a recurrent problem. Jeremy had another turnover bundle in this game. Today it was in the first quarter. Jeremy has a lot of work still to do. There's a whole bunch of things he has to work on still. As a point guard, he's got to develop more shots when he gets into the lane. He needs more floaters and runners and this type of thing. He's got to continue to work on finding his place in the offense. And it was good to see that Coach McHale put Jeremy in at the end of this game. Last game, we criticized Coach McHale because he didn't put Jeremy in. He played with Tony Douglas at the end, but Jeremy came into this game for the last 6.5 minutes, so that was a different thing. All right, John, that's the quick overshot of what happened today. Now I'm going to get into the quarter by quarter. And the reason why I make these videos long and longer is because this is like a film session. Professional athletes watch a lot of film. They go through film and they try to analyze and break down what happened. And they watch it with coaches. And the coaches say, yeah, this happened, you did this, you did that, da-da-da-da, and here I can see it. So that's basically what this is. These videos are for people that are Jeremy Lin fans. Of course, they're for all NBA fans, but these are for people that like Jeremy Lin and that want to understand more of the specifics of what's going on with Jeremy. And that's why I'm making them longer. They're not always going to be long, but when I can do it, I do it. So that's the reason why the videos are longer. All right, now let's go through this quarter by quarter. All right, Jeremy started out just poor. the first thing I've written down on my notes is JL garbage TO, meaning Jeremy had a really bad turnover. He stopped, he drove into the lane, he did that stop move where the defender runs by, Jeremy does the pivot move, and then he comes back around and you get free for a shot. And when he did that, he jumped in the air and threw the ball away. It was just terrible. It was a bad move. Look, it happens. It's going to happen, but it was, I think Toronto scored like right off of that. I think they got a layup, and that made the game 8-0. And then McHale took a timeout, and it was 8-0. It was another one of Houston's bad starts where they get into a hole, the starters don't play well, blah, 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 blah. So that's the way the game began, and it didn't look promising for Houston early in this thing. This is a type of thing where Jeremy's getting benched more and why Tony Douglas is getting more run. And I understand it. McHale wants to play a fast tempo game. Fast, aggressive. He wants the team to get out to strong starts. Jeremy's had a few of these games where he's come out, he's been a little too passive, a little too slow, and today was one of those games, and it was bad. It was ugly. If you watch this game, Jeremy was not good in the first quarter. He really wasn't good. But after the timeout, Jeremy started to pick up the pace. He started to be a little bit better, whatever. What Jeremy has to do is he can't – look, you have to let the game come to you, is the expression. You've heard me say that a number of times. You have to play in the flow of the game. But as a point guard, as the leader of the offense and the team, you have to create the flow. You have to create the pace. And Tony Douglas is doing that better right now than Jeremy is. Now, I think there's a whole bunch of reasons for that. But the bottom line from the coach's standpoint is I'm going to go with the guy that's doing it. I want a certain style of play. I want it fast. I want it aggressive. So if I put two guys out there and one guy's faster and shooting open shots and he's up in the offensive player's chest on defense, well, guess what? He's going to play more. And that's why Tony's been getting more playing time. It's not because Jeremy can't play or there's a conspiracy to bench Jeremy Lin. It's because Jeremy needs to be more aggressive. He needs to have more energy. He needs to set the pace. You see Beard out there, James Harden. He's just bowling people over and he's shooting everything and he's bricking, but he's aggressive. He's aggressive. He's attacking. That's what Jeremy needs to do. And he found a little bit of that in this game, and I'll get to that in a bit. He needs to play like that right from the start. That's what Kevin McHale wants to see. That's what he needs to see. And right now, in my opinion, Tony's doing that better than Jeremy is. Now, again, I think it'll improve, I'm sure, whatever, but that's what Jeremy needs to do more of. So he just has to keep working on that. Now, again, he had the quick turnover bundle. He had all three turnovers, and the score was 20-8 for Toronto. So, I don't know, it's maybe in the first 8 or 9 minutes. All three of his turnovers for the whole game came in that period of time, just as we say they always do for him, or they always seem to. When he's a little scattered or a little slow on the slow to react or whatever, his mind's not fully engaged, that's when he turns the ball over. Then he doesn't turn it over at all. So he's got to keep working at that. He's got to keep working at that. And again, look, I'm being harsh on Jeremy, but let's remember with Jeremy, he's only played or started 60, 70 games. I mean, he's essentially a rookie. He hasn't played a lot. He's coming back from the knee, etc. He's on a new team, new teammates, etc. So let's not be too hard on him. He's going to be fine. These are just things that he has to work at over time, and he will improve on them, and he will get better. Again, I still have complete faith in Jeremy Lin. I'm just pointing out what he needs to do, what he's going to work at, and what it's going to happen to make him better and make him the player that he wants to be and that we want him to be as fans of his. So It's not that I don't like him. I'm not trying to be super critical of him. It's just these videos are mostly about Jeremy Lin. And so if Jeremy plays well, I'm going to say he plays well. If he doesn't play well, I'm going to say he didn't play well. And if I see things that he needs to work at, I'm going to say that. So that's, it's not personal, except that everything that we're talking about here is Jeremy Lin. So, now, yeah, so that was very much of the first quarter. Jeremy just did not play well. He didn't start well. It just didn't go well. And if he's not playing well, the team's probably not going to play well either. So he needs to continue to take the responsibility to set the pace. Yeah, I know Beard wants the ball all the time, and Beard's isolation and shooting everything. Okay, well, Jeremy needs to do the same thing, because that's the way Houston wants to play. That's the way the Rockets want to play. It's like the way that Phoenix played with Steve Nash and Mike D'Antoni. Shoot, 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 shoot. Run, 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 run. So if you start slowing that down, it doesn't work. You've got to keep it going. Even if you miss shots or whatever, just keep moving. Keep attacking. Look, Jeremy will get better and better with that. He is getting better, and he will continue to get better still. He's trying to process that in his mind. He's trying to internalize that. So where he's not worrying, he's not thinking, he's not concerned if he misses shots. He's just bang, 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 not thinking, go to insanity mode with speed. He'll get there. All right, second quarter. Lin was struggling in this quarter as well. He was getting beat on defense. He missed a shot in the lane, and he did another one. It was like a step back, like a fadeaway, I think. But it was an offensive rebound by Houston, and they scored that. Now that was a better move. Sometimes, if you've heard people talk about Derrick Rose, or somebody actually wrote about this about a week ago on Grantland, the site, and they talked about the Kobe assist, where they were talking about how when you drive the lane and you draw a guy, an extra guy, then it's good for your team to offensive rebound. Someone's going to be in position. And Jeremy had a couple of shots like that tonight where, yeah, he missed. His shooting percentage won't look great, but they were good shots, and somebody from Houston was right there for the rebound. Boom, 2 points. So in that instance, it's not a bad shot. Derrick Rose does that all the time. Drive, blow by his guy, help defender comes over to stop him. Derrick misses, Chicago offensive rebound, dunk, or layup. And Jeremy had a couple plays like that, so I have no problem if he's shooting poorly in that circumstance, because that's actually good for the team. So also Jeremy had an excellent steal. He stole the ball and he was going out of bounds, and he saved that to the team. That was a great move. There was a busted play, and he hit a jump shot from the right baseline. I remember that was about a 15-footer. Excellent play. So he was playing more aggressive. He was starting to get in the flow. Look, and I want to say he's got a lot to work on. I mean, I have a note right here, and it's like, look, he's got a lot of work still to do as a point guard. He's got to be able to dribble better. He's got to be able to shoot better when he's open, three-pointers. He's got to keep working on his confidence. His knees got to keep getting better so he can run faster and cut better, etc. And as we've said, he's an in-between guard. He's a combination guard. And again, at Harvard, he played shooting guard. Now he's at the NBA, which is a much higher level of competition than Harvard, and he's being asked to play point guard. And he's not quite ready for that in terms of his ball handling ability and his shooting ability. Jeremy's great shooting off the dribble. That's what he does best, which is a real skill. There's not tons of guys that are great at that, but Jeremy's excellent at that. But he still needs to be able to shoot standing still. He still needs to be able to shoot in what's called catch and shoot. Pass, and you take the shot immediately. No dribble, no nothing. He's not good at that. We've talked about this earlier in the year. This could be a tough year for Jeremy, but it will help him long term because he's being asked to do things he's not good at doing. So it might not look great now, but give him a year or two, and then he'll get good at that. And he can already do the other skills like shoot off the dribble and pick and roll, and then he'll be a complete player. So these are just learning steps. These are just learning things, but there's a lot for him still to do. I mean, he really needs to get better at some of those areas. At dribbling, wide open shooting, and he needs to be able to have more shots when he gets into the lane. He needs more teardrops, more floaters, that type of thing. And I mean, there was one play in particular. I think it was in the third quarter. He drove to his left, and he shot with his right. It was kind of like a runner. That's okay, but you don't want to shoot like that. If you're driving left, you need to be able to shoot left with your left hand. So these are things that he's going to have to work at. And he'll work on them, and he'll get them. And again, like I said about Jeremy in the last game, he's big. He's not a guy he's not a little speedster like a Ty Lawson or even Tony Douglas, who is clearly smaller than Jeremy. Those guys are quick. Bing, 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 bing. Jeremy is fast, running like in a dash. He's fast, but he's not super quick. He's a little bit too big to be that quick. So he had something, in the summer, if you watch some of his workout videos from this last summer, you saw him working on explosiveness. Now that, obviously, that's to heal the knee, but that's something he's going to have to work on as well. I remember some of the haters in New York, and it was leaked, they saw him and they didn't think he was that athletic and all that. No, Jeremy's athletic, but there are parts of his athleticism that he needs to improve upon, like the quickness, the little burst on layups and stuff like this. And he'll get it. Like I said, there are all kinds of training programs and stuff like this. If you, for example, we're big boxing fans. If you watch the Marquez-Pacquiao fight, if you watch the 24/7s that we covered, Marquez did a whole different routine. Now he's much more explosive and stronger and stuff. There are training routines to improve these things. And Jeremy's already used some of them, and he'll continue to work on them. So he'll get better at these areas. But these are things that he still needs to work on. All right. Now going into the third quarter, Jeremy had a great steal, and he passed it to Chandler Parsons, who unfortunately blew the layup. Houston started to go into more of an isolation offense. It's like they weren't trusting each other. They started bricking. Harden was just doing ISO Harden, all that type of stuff. But again, the thing that was good was that Harden kept shooting. Harden's not going to lose any confidence, and that's the way that Jeremy needs to be. You need to keep shooting, even if you get benched. He just needs to get more of that mindset. Like, I don't care. I'm the guy. I'm just going to shoot. That's what they pay me to do. That's what I'm here to do. If you notice, Jeremy just plays better when he's not thinking. So he just needs to just keep working on no conscience as a shooter and don't think too much. Just play. It'll come. It's like I said, he was in a good groove with that last year. He knew his teammates, he knew what to do, and he knew how to do it. Right now, it's kind of a feeling out process, particularly when he's playing with Harden on the floor. So, and he's coming back from the knee. So it's just, you can see it. You can see when he's thinking versus when he's just playing. And there's a lot of thinking going on in this game. So, he did, again, he was more aggressive in the third quarter. He did more. He was more aggressive. That was good. And again, more of these offensive, he misses, team gets offensive rebound, they get put back. So that was good. Now you saw Jeremy was trapped. Actually, this might have been, I don't know if it was the best play of the game, but it might have been. He drove to his right and got trapped. Calderon stopped his dribble, and it looked like, and you saw Jeremy looking around like he was going to make one of those silly turnovers, but instead he kept pivoting. He pivoted towards the basket and hit a little shot off the glass. That was a great move. And that's what he needs to do. Don't get nervous. Don't get all flustered and throw the ball away. Wait until things develop. And he waited, and he hit that nice little shot. That was an excellent, excellent play. He was starting then, and he started getting more and more aggressive against Calderon. and more aggressive in general. He had an open three-pointer from Chandler Parsons' pass. That was great. And he started going harder against Calderon. Now, I can tell you right now, there's no way in this world Jose Calderon can guard Jeremy Lin. And then finally, Jeremy started taking him on the dribble because Calderon can't guard him, and he needs to exploit that matchup. And he finally started doing a little bit more of it in the third period. So that was good. He drove by Calderon again, had a nice dish to Greg Smith. It got blocked on the dunk. As I told you, Houston's big men did not do well on either side of the ball. They didn't stop. Interior defense was not good against Toronto, and they were blowing all kinds of good assists in this game. Almer was missing dunks. Greg Smith was missing dunks and getting blocked in a way that wasn't happening in Houston. Something you should know is I said the bench got outplayed in this game. Houston's bench did. In general, the team's bench plays better at home than they do on the road, particularly when they're young. And Houston, they're all young, including the bench. So those guys will usually do a lot better at home than on the road. And in this game, for a lot of it, Greg Smith looked lost. Plays that he would have made in Houston, he just couldn't make today. He was a little slow, step slow, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I just made a note here in the third. When Jeremy's better with all this stuff, when his skills are better, when his shot is better, when his dribbling's better, everything's going to be much easier. All of the little hesitation and misses and all of that's going to flow. It's going to look a lot better, and it's going to be a lot easier for Jeremy. Think about it in the same way that I said at the beginning of the year. I'd say, Jeremy can't do this, or he's stopping in ways that he wouldn't have during Linsanity 1.0. And then I said, well, that's going to get better. He's going to shoot layups and finish layups, and you start to see that. That's the same way that this is. There are things that he can't do now, and it looks all humbled, jumbled. And in a year or two, it'll look much smoother. He'll be flowing and just doing things much easier. So that will come. But he's still got some time between there and where he's at right now. The good thing with Jeremy, too, is he started shooting more, and he was missing, but Coach Kevin McHale stayed with him in the third quarter. Jeremy played most of the third quarter of this game, and that's important. We saw this with Kelvin Sampson when he was coaching for McHale while McHale was on the leave of absence. Sampson started getting more confidence in Jeremy, and he'd play him even when he wasn't hitting shots, and that's what McHale did here. So for the people that are saying, McHale's not giving him a fair shake, McHale did the right things today in terms of for Jeremy's confidence. He stayed with him, and that, Jeremy will know that. It's like, okay, I missed a shot and I didn't get pulled out of the game for Tony Douglas. So that's how you do it. That's how you break out of slumps. The coach stays with you, and you just keep going. Don't get afraid. Don't cower from the action, or don't worry about being benched. Keep shooting. Keep playing. And so in the third quarter, Jeremy turned what had been kind of a poor game for him into a decent game. And that was because he stayed after it, and the coach left him in the game. And that was good. Now, Houston was down 4 points or so late in the third when Tony came in for Jeremy. That was about 2 minutes left in the quarter. And then after you saw right then, Toronto went on a big run. And it continued into the fourth quarter. So today was not a day that Tony was playing a lot better than Jeremy, at least not after the first quarter. So I made a note here, and this is just a humorous note. You remember how when Jeremy had that one shot, and I can't remember who they were playing. Basically, he had an open three, and he missed it for like the game winner or game tire, and everybody's like, oh, he's so bad. He's so awful. He was an air ball. Well, Tony Douglas airballed a three in this game in the beginning of the fourth quarter. Does that mean that Tony Douglas is the worst point guard ever? Because that's what people are saying about Jeremy. It just shows you how silly some of the haters are. It's just dumb. I mean, sometimes you airball. That's just what happens. That's the way it goes. Jeremy, when he came back in this game with about 6.5 minutes left to go in the game, I can't remember exactly what the score was. Houston was down maybe 6, something like that. He immediately made a good play. He immediately had that layup to he had an assist, a nice pass to Greg Smith for a layup. So Jeremy came in ready to close. Mr. Clutch, what we've seen from him before this year and certainly last year against Philly and against Toronto when he hit the three. Jeremy, I was really impressed with his mindset late in the fourth quarter. He really was ready to win, and he was focused, and that was good. Unfortunately, the team just couldn't get it done late in the game. The whole team didn't play well. But I like that Jeremy, late in the game, Beard had the ball. Jeremy told him to give him the ball. Now, he drove across the lane and was kind of stuck there in the lower right-hand side of the lane or just outside of it. And he really put up a bad shot, Jeremy did. But I like the aggression. Hey, Beard, give me the ball, and I'm going to take Calderon off the dribble. I think another man came and helped close off the lane. And so Jeremy just got hung up, and the shot he took was not a good shot. But at least again, we said this, you miss every shot you don't take. He wanted to do it. He was in a closer mentality, and I like that. That's something that will pay off for him as we continue in the season, even though it didn't work that well today. Now, Jeremy's still trying to figure out how to close out games when he and Harden are on the court at the same time. As we've said before, they have similar skills in a lot of ways. And in a lot of ways, Jeremy's a shooting guard. So those two are still trying to figure out how to work off of each other in the same way that the first year LeBron was with D. Wade. They didn't know how to get it done and play off of each other. But then they figured it out. And Jeremy and James Harden will also figure it out. I also think that's why Coach McHale has been playing Tony some at the end of games, because you don't have that issue. Like I said, Tony Douglas is a point guard. That's what he is. That's what he does. Jeremy's a point guard and a shooting guard. So when he and Harden are on the floor, it's a little different. And sometimes you have a little bit of overlap. So I think that's why the coach has probably been playing Tony some at the end of the game. Jeremy almost had a steal right at the end of the game when Toronto was trying to inbounds the ball. I think he tipped the ball out of bounds. It's too bad. That could have changed the game. But overall, I like the way Jeremy tried to take charge at the end of this game. He was much more forceful, whether it was asking Beard for the ball or directing guys at the end of the game, you go here, etc., when he was inbounding the ball. And Houston lost. I said this was a tough loss. It's a shame. And it could come back to haunt them. But it happens. I mean, it's these games, these early games for teams. Again, these teams are used to playing at night. These teams usually play here in the United States between like 7 p.m. at night to like 10 p.m. And they get in a rhythm of that. So if you take them out of that rhythm, sometimes you get bad results. And that's what happened to Houston today. All right, so the summary here is pretty much a tough outing. Obviously a tough outing for the Rockets. A tough outing for Jeremy, but I like the way he competed and came back in the second half, particularly the third quarter. Jeremy still has a lot to work on, a lot. It's going to take him time. It's going to take him time beyond this year to get the shooting, to get the ball handling, to develop the little trick shots that you need to be able to shoot as a guard when you go in the lane. Unless you're somebody like Russell Westbrook and can dunk everything or just do almost anything you want athletically, you need to have a bunch of shots. You need to have teardrops, floaters, hooks, all kinds of stuff. And Jeremy will do that, and he'll learn that. I'm sure of that, but that's going to take time. That's something he doesn't have in his arsenal really right now. He's going to have to keep working on that. Finally, Jeremy needs to start the game quicker. It's up to him. This isn't the coach's fault or anybody else's fault. It's his deal. He's the leader of the offense. He needs to set the pace. So, again, you saw it in this game, and this is just being honest. When Tony came in this game in the first quarter, the team was running quicker and with more confidence. Jeremy has got to find a way to increase his pace and continue to be aggressive right from the beginning of the game. Not after he's benched, but from the tip. He'll get that, but that's something he needs to work on, and he needs to continue to work to find his place in the offense, particularly when James Harden is out there as well. That's it. That's the wrap-up. Give us your comments below. Thumbs up, thumbs down on this video. We will have a full set of links in the video description below the video player, video highlights of the game, box score, game stories. We will also have a link so you can come and join the Conservative New Media Facebook group. Over 2,000 members there and counting. Love to have you come and join us there as well. I am Paul F. Villarreal, the NBA expert. Thanks for watching Conservative New Media. We strive to be the #1 Jeremy Lin YouTube fan channel. Hope everyone's having a nice day. It's a pretty nice afternoon here where I'm at. Hope you're having a good night or day all around the world. We will talk to you again soon.